Hey guys, Mr. V over here doing a book review today for The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. Before I get into my book review, I want you guys to know that I try to do a spoiler-free book review, so if you see me looking down, I just have notes, so I try not to give any spoilers away. So let's get into the book review for The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store. The main premise for this book is it starts out in 1972, and this new construction area is digging things up, and they dig up a skeleton. And it states that who the skeleton was and how it got there are two of the long-held secrets kept by the residents of Chicken Hill. So that's the main premise of the story. While it does say it starts in 1972, the majority of the book actually takes place in the 1930s. So that's where the majority is. But this was definitely a very, very odd book. It was not only an odd start, but it was an odd book because not much happened in like the first half of the book. It was not boring, but it felt scattered a lot. And when I say the first half, you can see this is not like a 100-page book. This is about a 360 or 380-page book, and not much happens in the first half, which is very odd because you're basically just reading the stories of a small town. And it's not just reading stories, you're like almost reading like everyday stories of a small town. So that's why it was kind of odd. While you're just reading these like everyday stories of different characters in the town, you still had some kind of draw though. I did not want to quit reading the book. I still wanted to keep reading it. So there was still a draw, but it wasn't like super intriguing. And nothing in like the first half was relating to the main story where it started about that skeleton they found and who it was. Like nothing in the first half related to that. So that's why it was very odd. And it takes about half the book before it starts to relate back to the bigger story. Because in the first half, you're basically just learning about the town. It's a small town, and you get to know the town. And you get to know the town through the lives of the townsmen. And it's an interesting way to build the story, because you're getting to learn through their life. Because there are just a few main characters, and what he will do in the book is you'll follow a main character for a full chapter. Then the next chapter, it'll go to a different main character, and you follow them for a chapter. Then the third chapter will go to another townsman, and you follow them. And there's some overlapping storylines because it's a small town, so you get to run into some of the people you had just followed, like now, the people that were initially a first-person point of view, now you see them as a third-person point of view because you're following a different person, and you know, things like that. So that's why it's definitely interesting. And he does slowly build the characters, and you get to really see who these characters are, and you get a feel for the whole town. Again, it's a small town. You get a feel for the whole town because of all the background stories he's sharing about these people who have lived there, and he has all different types of characters. There's the different characters, all different types of personalities, but he also has all different types of races, religions. Some people are native, some people are immigrants, and it's just, you get to see how a real small town functions, and how, because sometimes they're living in harmony, other times they're living in complete disorder, because some of the people are friends, others are enemies, or others used to be friends and they haven't spoken much in 10 years and why they haven't, and you get to learn all that through these backstories. And he gives you a lot of backstories, so you really get a feel for the town. And that's why you have to have a lot of patience, because in the beginning, not just the first half, but like in like the first quarter of the book, you do wonder like, what is going on? I'm learning about all these different people. What's going on? But you do start to really get to know the town, and it feels like you really are in that small town. And it was a very interesting way to build the town and the characters. It was definitely interesting, but it takes a long time for him to build it because, again, it takes like half the book. It takes about 150 to 200 pages before he really starts getting into some of the main stories. And as I say, like the first like 150, 200 pages, like nothing of significance happens. And that leads into some of the things I did not like about the book. The main thing I didn't like about the book was I just felt it took way too long to get the story going. I thought it was very interesting how he built the town and he built the characters, but I don't like when it takes half the book before you really start to show anything of significance. Another thing, though, was that he had a lot of characters. There are so many minor characters which can sometimes cause confusion. I had to sometimes reread some parts. I had to flip back a few chapters to remember who was a character. Because of how many characters there were, you sometimes would forget. Are they the cousin? Are they the uncle? Are they a friend of the uncle's? Are they a former classmate? And there's just so many characters. So that's why it would sometimes cause confusion. And it's because there were so many background stories. I don't like to say this most of the time, so only a minor spoiler. So if you don't want to see this, fast forward about 30 seconds. But a minor spoiler is that most of the book does not deal with the main premise of that skeleton mystery. It's almost like you feel when you're reading it, it's almost like he completely forgot that, which I don't know why. I wasn't the only that noticed this. There's other people online that commented the same. So I just don't know why he did that. And I think he just put in way too many background stories and way too many characters. I felt this book would have actually been a lot better if he had edited it down, put fewer characters and put fewer background stories, and have more of the background stories relate to the main story. I think it would have been better then. And many online felt this. I'm not the only one online that felt this. I always read multiple different book reviews. I always look at different forums. And I just saw that many online felt this, and it was definitely interesting in the rating systems online. I'll give my rating in just a bit, but many people online, there wasn't much middle ground on the rating. People either loved it or they did not. There wasn't many middle ground if you guys even look at the reviews as well. But let me give it my official rating right now. So I always rate my books on a scale of 0 to 10, with a 0 being an awful book. A 5 is an average, and a 10 is phenomenal. If it gets anywhere near a 10, put it on your reading list, because I'm a very tough critic, so it's hard to move up even 1 point in my rating system. And again, a 5 is average. So for the Heaven and Earth grocery store, I'm going to rate this book a 3. And it got a pretty solid 3. Times it was a little higher, but other times it was a little lower. But the reason I'm rating it a 3 is just because I said that most of it just had too many background stories, and that a good majority, or a good half of the book dealt nothing with any type of main story. And I feel that it's bad when you have half of your book having to build up just the characters in the town. Some people felt it was a waste. I don't think it was a complete waste, which is why I'm still rating it a 3. But just if you pick up this book, prepare that it's not going to be a very intriguing book. It does have some good moments, and it is a feel-good story at some parts, but just don't expect much if you pick this book up. But if you guys have any questions or comments, please post it in the comment section below, because I always love to hear your comments, your opinions. If you guys want to see more book reviews like you saw today, hit the subscribe button, as I always upload multiple different types of book reviews. But thank you for watching my book review today. This is Mr. V. Go enjoy reading.